On the assignment website in step 2, you can click here and it'll take you to a Google Drive folder where you can locate the raw footage for the assignment. You can download each of these files. You'll probably have to cut this establishing shot. Download those files, and you can see I've got them downloaded here already. I've already cut up my footage for establishing shot and cut it into two pieces. One that's showing the character on the left and another piece of footage showing the character on the right. I'm just going to move these into a folder that I just created called KnockKnock. You might call yours Interview if you're doing the advanced assignment. I'm doing basic, so I've created inside there a folder called Video, and this is where I want my raw footage to go. I'm just going to select that. I'm going to move it into the video folder. I launch Premiere Pro. This is our home screen. This shows us projects that I've worked on previously. There's some learning materials here as well, and we want to generate a new project. Also access to learning here as well. Click New Project. I'm going to call it KnockKnock. If you're doing something else, you'll probably call yours Interview. Now I want to determine where. In the second area here, I click Browse, and I want to point to folder on my desktop. Choose KnockKnock, and this is where I want my files being saved. So I choose the KnockKnock folder. I also might want to set up my scratch disks. This is extra storage area for captured video, audio, and so on, and I just have it set to same as project. Click OK. Notice already it has generated a project file, PR project, Premiere Pro project, in this folder called KnockKnock. It presents you with the interface. It's got 4 parts. Here we have the source window. Here we have the project window where we import our media. This is the program area where we review the final edited video. And down here in the bottom right is the timeline where we edit together the series of clips into a sequence. So let's begin by importing the media. And all you need to do is just double click in this area here. Presents you with a Finder window. You just locate this video folder. There's our footage. Click on the first one, hold down the Shift key to select all of it, and then import. Once you've got your footage in there, if you shot your own footage, you might want to actually name it, like I've done here, just so you know which clips are which. Notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clips in here. You can double click a clip and you can review it. You can scrub back and forth or just let it play. And this allows you to determine what of that clip you actually want to use down here in your timeline. What I want to do is work with the establishing shot. And like I said, I took the original establishing shot and I cut it in 2 pieces. The pieces where I had the character on the right, they were all shot simultaneously on one long piece of video. And I just cut them up separately. I'll open that up by double clicking on it. And I just want this first character sitting in the chair near the beginning. I'll set what's called the in point marker just by clicking that. That says this is where I want to take the video from. Then I'll let it play. He turns his head and he says, "Who's there?" So the head turn is obviously a reaction to something that the other character says. So I don't want the head turned. I just want it right about there. And I'll set my out point right there. I just wanted to point this out. If you just want the video, you would drag this. If you just want the audio from your track, you would drag this. But I want the entire clip. I drag it over into my timeline in the bottom right, and you see bars for the video on top, bars for the audio on the bottom. And you can just see a tiny little bit of room noise there in the audio signature. And so you'll see there's the clip. You can let it play. You can set the clip back to the start position by clicking there. Let's preview the other shot. And I would scrub through there until he's sitting in the chair, set my in point, let it play, and he reaches for his coffee. I'll set the out point there, drag that to my timeline. Maybe I want it to be a little bit longer. Now usually you put these things back to back, but I actually want them one on top of the other. And I'm just going to stretch that out so it's the same length. And you'll notice there he reaches for his coffee, doesn't quite get to it. But you'll notice as I play this, in my final video, we can't see the other video. And that's because the video on top essentially covers up the video below. The question is, how do you get both of them showing simultaneously? And this is where masking comes in. We select the top piece of video. We're now currently in editing mode. Within the editing mode, if we go to this tab right here, Effect Controls, and scroll down till you see an effect called Opacity, and select a rectangle, it drops this rectangular shape in here. Notice that the lower video has appeared. And to bring the original top video back in, we need to stretch this mask over here and bring our character in the frame. And so let's rewind that and take a look. So we've brought them both into the scene simultaneously. The same actor in the same space at the same time. Now that's the masking technique. I would just continue with this using a series of other shots like cutaways. You know, we see him there reaching for the coffee. Maybe the next thing I want to do is a cutaway shot. So I could scrub through that. There's the hand reaching in. So maybe I want to start the footage right about there just as the hand's coming in. That's the in point. Grabs the coffee. That's the out point. And maybe I throw that in there. And this time, it just butts up against that previous masked sequence. So let's look at that. Now you would just continue on in that way, assembling all the footage, making sure that the dialogue progresses according to the script. And the script of the knock knock joke is knock knock, who's there, and so on. And then you need to export your video when you're finished. Now you'll notice we started out with 5 clips. It's generated this 6th thing here. And this is called a sequence. Notice these are the clips, and this is a sequence. That little symbol there tells us it's an assembly on a timeline of various clips. And we could take this scene and throw it back into our timeline and use it again, as if it were a piece of continuous footage. So as we assemble our clips, we're building a sequence. When you're finished, you would select your final sequence, or you would simply select all of your video clips in here, either way, and you would say File, Export, Media. And some of the things we want to be sure of, it's H.264. We can click here on Output Name, and we can give the file a name. I would call it Knock Knock. This is another timeline where we can scrub through the video, and again we can set in and out points of this final sequence. We now just export that video, and it generates the final video. There it is here. So there's my Knock Knock folder. That's the video folder containing the original clips. This is my project file, and you can see a Knock Knock final video. We can open that up and play it. And that is the workflow. And of course, the step after this is posting your video up to a hosting platform like YouTube or Vimeo, and then generating a shareable link and submitting that link into the learning management system for evaluation.